Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, a photographer based in Northern California, and today I just want to bring you up to speed, a little bit of a show, a little bit of a tell about my photography exploits over the past couple months. And life's been crazy. I have two young kids. I just turned 40. I started a new job, so my personal life's been like totally off the hook nuts. But photography has continued to be this like calming, meditative, wonderful aspect of my life. And so I want to walk you through a couple moonrise shots, some shots of San Francisco, and some other just beautiful cloud and fog work that I've been working on. And I also thought I'd mention, you can see behind me these images here. I don't know if they're going to be in focus. In fact, I know they won't be because the eye autofocus, but I've got a bunch else ones in my room. And I just wanted to mention that I've really, I've been embracing the concept of printing my work recently. And that's another development over the past couple months where I've just been going nuts with printing my work. And part of that's because I did two photography shows recently where my work was in galleries, and they were just awesome experiences. A lot of people from the community came out. I obviously share my work on Instagram and Nextdoor and other local digital media. But people came out from the community because they wanted to meet me and they wanted to talk about the work and they wanted to hear the stories behind the photography. And it was so awesome to print my work and to put it out there, physically in form, to meet people from the community. And I just cannot stress enough how wonderful it is to print your work and to share that work with people in real life and not just on social media and on things like YouTube. The first thing that I really got to do over the past couple months that I'm proud of, and probably one of the best experiences I've had over the past year with photography in the Bay Area, is the moonrise. And we're in this weird period right now where there are 4 supermoons in a row. I believe August, September, October, and November all have supermoons. And these supermoons, what that means is essentially the moon, it is, not essentially, the moon is closer to the Earth when the full moon occurs. And that results in a larger moon. It looks larger to our eye. It's about 5 to 10% bigger than a normal full moon, but that change is sufficient to look really extraordinary, to make it look huge. And so I've gone out the last 2 supermoons in August and September. August was like an amazing experience. I use Photo Pills, which is a great app for planning out these types of shots because you can see the moonrise and what angle it's going to be at different periods of the evening, which allows you to plan out like what's going to be in the midground of your image and the foreground and where the moon's going to be rising above. And so I use that app I'm not associated with it in any way, but I use that app to plan out a shot in San Francisco. And I went to the base of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was going to line up and have San Francisco in the midground with the full moon rising above San Francisco. And the timing was crazy because I'm always late for everything. And I arrived right as the moon was coming up above the horizon. And I have no idea like why this happened. Just call it divine intervention. The universe was delivering. But this sailboat was crossing right at the same point when the moon was rising. It was just awesome. And because the sun was setting right as the moon was rising, as generally happens with the full moon, the ambient light was still there. It was a relatively clear day, which is unusual in San Francisco, particularly in August. And so there was some leftover residual sunlight that was like kind of bathing the sky and the city with light and the sailboat. And then you have the moon rising. So the dynamic range wasn't too crazy and I was able to capture a shot. And it was just awesome. And I just sat there kind of in awe, capturing different perspectives. There was a pier. So I photographed like as people were kind of watching the moonrise from the pier. So I let them be the subject for a second. And then I looked at vertical compositions and I looked at horizontal compositions. And then even after the moon had risen and things were kind of blown out a little bit, I still like pulled back and was able to photograph the cityscape and the kind of ebb and flow of the almost mountain-like triangular nature of the San Francisco cityscape from this vantage point. And it was just super fun and just an awesome evening to be out there. And as I kind of came back and I got home and I was excited about it, and I shared the image on social media the next day. It was picked up by SFGate, which is one of the publications here. And that was really neat because it connected me with whomever could have imagined, but the people who were on the boat. So I got to connect with these folks who were on that boat, photographing that scene at that very moment, and ended up selling a number of prints to folks that were either on the boat or the captain, the owner of the boat. So it's just a really cool experience to connect with people and to share in that moment. Turns out that sailboat was coming back from a 2-week trip where they had gone all the way to Hawaii and back from San Francisco. So it was just capturing this moment for them of entering back into San Francisco's harbor as the moon was rising, and just a very cool experience. And so I wanted to bookend that actually with the moonrise in September, which was just a couple days ago. And this was like another one of these scenarios where I was just crazy at home, and just my wife was amazing and took the kids and put them down to bed so I could get out there and take some shots. And I went up, in this case, it was super foggy in the Bay Area. So I went under the tunnel and out to kind of eastern, a little bit east of here where it'd be more dry, to some of the open space land that is out there, kind of past like in the Walnut Creek area and Lafayette area, which is a little bit east of San Francisco, about 45 minutes. And I got there in time. I was again using photo pills, but weirdly, like, it was foggy. It was okay when I got there, then it got foggy, and the sky was kind of hazy with precipitation and moisture. And I just like couldn't see the moonrise. It just wasn't happening. And it was kind of frustrating because these opportunities are so scarce for me to get out there. That it was a little bit demoralizing. So I just figured, whatever, I'm out, it's nature, the sun's set, I'm just kind of hanging out and doing my thing. Well, I wasn't right. The sun had not actually set. What had happened was the sun was in the marine layer. The marine layer, which is the fog in the Bay Area, was blocking the sun, so I couldn't see it. But every so often, this cool phenomenon happens where the sun drops below the marine layer, and just for a couple minutes before it sets below the horizon, there's a clear line of sight between the sun and pretty much all the terrain right before it sets, because it goes below that cloud layer and you can see it, and then it goes down below the horizon. And in this particular situation, I was actually looking over my shoulder to see if the moon was rising or not. And what I ended up seeing was the sun peek through for this like 30-second period, and it lit Mount Diablo, which is the highest peak in kind of the Northern California area around here in the Bay Area. And it lit just Mount Diablo with this gorgeous like pink orange hue, like a peachy hue. And I happened to have my camera out at the right time, and I captured this panoramic image. And I just love it. Like, I love the vibe. And sure, the moon is not rising above Mount Diablo like I might have wanted it to if it wasn't so cloudy. But the vibe is awesome. And I love this as a pano image, and the way that the hills kind of form this bowl that frames the mountain, and the light coming through really makes it the focus of the image, even more so than it would be just because of its geographical location in the image and also its geology of its elevation. So really awesome shot, really cool experience that came out of this. And I kind of lingered around a little bit, and I took this other photo that I liked a lot, which is just after the sun is set and the sky is this bluish pink hue. And I captured this stand of trees that was there. So it ended up being a really fun evening to be out there and just with my camera and having a good time. And with my camera, I did want to mention, what camera that was. So, I've purchased a new camera. Now, I feel kind of insane about doing this because I've got wonderful gear already, but I've always lusted after a medium format Fujifilm GFX camera. And the new GFX 100S2 came out recently. And because of that, the 100S, which is the predecessor, just cratered in price. And these cameras dropped well below what they're worth, in my opinion, for a 100 megapixel really huge dynamic range, beautiful sensor camera. And it's compact. I mean, it feels just like a D850 or even a Z8, you know, a Nikon camera does. It feels like just a full frame DSLR, but it packs this gorgeous sensor. And what I've really been enjoying doing is these panoramic images. And so I took this one that I shared with you right then of Mount Diablo with this camera, and it allows me to get a very highly resolved pano image, either 1:3 or similar dimensions, and crop and still maintain a ton of detail for large prints. So I have just been having a blast with this camera. And that brings me to the other final example of opportunity I wanted to share with you over the past couple months. I took that camera out just a couple weeks after getting it with this lens, by the way, which is really compact. It's the 35-70, a very inexpensive GFX lens that's surprisingly sharp, particularly around f8 to f11. So I took this combo out to the Marin headlands, and I did get out this time for sunset. And it was awesome. It was so cool. I mean, I went out to this place called Slacker Hill, which is awesome. It's just above Hawk Hill, which is a popular spot there. And you can see the city before you and the Golden Gate Bridge and the fog coming in. And then if you turn around and face the other direction, you can see the fog just like slicing through and kind of maneuvering through the Marin headlands. So it was just super awesome to be out there and with a camera like this that can really do diligence and really deliver on a scene like that. So I just had such a blast photographing it. And one of the most fun images I took was this iconic view of kind of the light trails on the Golden Gate Bridge with the city and the fog coming in. And I wanted to share with you a physical print of that because I've been making images to print, and I've been printing a lot more recently. So the first image I wanted to share with you is this one here, which I'm pretty happy about. So this is the Golden Gate Bridge you can see in the foreground with the fog and the city as I was just describing. And the image on digital format is great, but when you look at it like this, in this kind of print like this, I mean, it just is so awesome. And then I want to share with you one other print. So this is another from that same night. And you can see it's just gorgeous the way it looks on this matte paper. I mean, I love it the way this came out, and I can't believe I'm able to make this stuff at home. So this is definitely going to be hung up as well at my house. I guess if anything, if there is kind of a parting word, it's just, you know, these images here and whatnot, like printing your work is so awesome. It has been so fulfilling to see my work in print, to see people engaging with that. I'm hooked, you know, like I just want to print huge prints now and put them in galleries and contact hotels and businesses and stuff like that and just get my work out there because it's so gratifying to see that deliverable coming out of the effort that, you know, comes in to taking photos and producing the art. Your photos should be printed. They should be shared. You should connect with people over them. We should not just be cloistered in a world of social media. So with that, I will finish up, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the photography that I'm putting out there, and I look forward to the next video and sharing the next experience with you. Take care and be well, and don't forget to get outside. Bye.